Okay, so we're going a little bit more niche, a little bit more, subdued for this video because we are talking about Pro Wrestling Noah. Anyone who watches Pro Wrestling Noah, please comment down below if you're a fan. Anyone who doesn't, why aren't you watching Pro Wrestling Noah? Hello and welcome to FTTR, I'm Hugh McQuaid, and today we are talking about Pro Wrestling Noah. In particular, we are talking about the N1-Victory tournament and who will win. That's right, who's going to come out victorious from the N1-Victory tournament? It is a big question to ask, but before we dive into that, please subscribe, please like this video, please comment your thoughts down below, and I'll try to reply to every single one of them as we dive into this. So for anyone who is unfamiliar with Pro Wrestling Noah and the N1-Victory, Pro Wrestling Noah is a promotion out in Japan. It is sort of seen as like the secondary promotion to New Japan Pro Wrestling over there, but you've got loads of big promotions over in Japan. You've got Stardom, Tokyo Joshi Pro. There's a lot of promotions out there in Japan, and they often have a format for their tournaments that is a round-robin style tournament. The N1-Victory is Pro Wrestling Noah's annual round-robin tournament in which the winner gets a shot at the GHC Heavyweight Championship. There have been some great winners, Kaito Kiyomiya, Marufuji, Kenta. There have been some great winners that have come out of this tournament, and going into this year's, it is a stacked lineup for both blocks. Both of the blocks for the N1-Victory tournament this year are loaded with some younger guys, some legends. It is a very interesting lineup. Interestingly, there's no WWE in this lineup because last year you had Taven Heights and Josh Briggs in the N1-Victory. But using some of these homegrown people, using some of Noah's top talent in this tournament, including the GHC champion himself, it is a big old lineup. So we're going to go through the blocks and I'm going to talk about who I think is going to win each block and who is going to win the tournament overall. Now, before I do, I've got to stress that due to time, I cannot constantly keep up with Pro Wrestling Noah. It is probably the Japanese promotion that I follow the most, more so than New Japan. So I have a little bit of insight, but in terms of full story beats, I'm not. This is more educated guessing. Let's put it that way. But I highly recommend you check out Pro Wrestling Noah, and I highly recommend you check out Wrestle Universe because to me, that is the best value for money in terms of streaming and wrestling streaming services. You get so much content on Wrestle Universe. You get Noah, you get Tokyo Joshi Pro, you get DDT, you get Marigold. There's so many promotions on that streaming service, and it's actually pretty cheap here in the UK. But my shilling is out of the way. Let's look at those blocks. So just before I run down the blocks and who we have, I am apologising in advance if I butcher any of the names here. I think I can do a good job with most of them, but some of them I might struggle and I might not pronounce correctly. But let's start with Block A, which has the GHC champion Kenta, Kaito Kiyomiya, Manabu Soya, Ulka Sasaki, Kazuchika Fujita, Tetsuya Endo, Masaki Tamiya, and Dagger. This is an interesting one to call, an interesting block to predict, namely because there's a big old Kenta in there. I think I'm going to go with Kenta, but I'd like to see the story of him going on a losing streak. He's had some good he's had the Marufuji match, which I haven't watched all the way through yet. I've heard people say it's not great, but he had the Kenta match to win the title, the Kenoh match to win the title, sorry, and that match was amazing. So he's on a bit of a 50-50 streak. So it's hard to bet against Kenta. But then again, IWGP champion Zack Sabre Jr. was in the G1. He didn't win the tournament. So it's tough. I think it's a really tough one to predict because there's so many people to go with. I think I'm looking at the names now, and this is genuinely really tough to think of who it could be. I think for Block A, I'm actually going to go with Ulka Sasaki because Ulka Sasaki has been in a team with Kenta and Kenoh, and they were sort of feuding for a long time with Team 2000X. I think a big match you could do is Kenta versus Sasaki. So I'm going to go with Ulka Sasaki. He's a young guy. He's a very talented guy. He's very, he uses grapples. He's got a submission style. He was an MMA fighter. He's got a unique style that I think could be really cool. And I think elevating people up a little bit in Pro Wrestling Noah to that top tier. I think Ulka Sasaki is one of them that can be elevated. So I'm going to go with Ulka Sasaki winning A block. Next up for B block, we have Galeno, Naomichi Marufuji, Kenoh, Daika Inaba, Jack Morris, Harutoki, Ricky Knight Jr., and OZOWA. That is the third take I've done to try and pronounce some of the names here. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering your names. Again, this is an interesting block. I think this is a little bit easier to predict for some people who I think could make it to the final. People like your Marufujis and Kenohs. But you've got new names in there as well. You've got Ricky Knight Jr. I'm rooting for Ricky Knight Jr. Ricky Knight Jr. in the N1-Victory is going to be incredible. I guarantee it. And I think his first match is with Kenoh. That match is going to be awesome. But if I'm picking Ulka Sasaki for Block A, that leads me towards Kenoh. Kenoh was in the finals last year as well. There is OZOWA, former GHC champion as well. I think this is really, really tough to call. I'd love to see Jack Morris as well. Jack Morris versus Sasaki could be good. 2000X versus Sasaki. I think I'm going to go with my heart, and I think I'm going to say it's Kenoh in the finals again, because that trio is just sticking in my head of Kenta, Kenoh, and Sasaki. So I'm going to go with Kenoh, but I'm not 100% sure about that. And that would lead to the final, which would be, if I did it, Ulka Sasaki versus Kenoh. And I think Ulka Sasaki, I think he is someone that they want to build up to that level of main eventing shows. He had the match with Shinsuke Nakamura as well recently. I say recently, was it this year? I think it was this year. He's had a match with Shinsuke Nakamura, I think, at the New Year, I think, which is the start of this year. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Ulka Sasaki winning the N1-Victory in full. And those are my predictions for anyone who is interested in checking out the N1-Victory, which I recommend you do. The thing that I like about the N1-Victory more so than the G1 Climax, and this is like the most, privileged thing ever, there's less people. There's less people, and therefore it feels like it's shorter. Well, it is shorter. But I think the matches that they have, and they usually have like all the matches on one show, whereas with the G1 they have some of the matches in the blocks, and then they also have the big tag matches. Whereas here, particularly on night one, I think it's got a really stacked lineup of just N1-Victory matches, and it runs from September the 8th to the 23rd of September. That's succinct. That's quite concise to be able to keep up, because the thing I found with the G1, whenever I try and watch the G1, is I just lose track. I just get overwhelmed because there's too much. But this is more manageable. It's more manageable to keep up with, and some of the wrestling is incredible. It's really, really damn good. There was an awesome match that Kenoh had last year, and I'm going to put the graphic against Titus Alexander. Titus Alexander last year. Kenoh versus Titus Alexander last year was amazing, and one I highly recommend you check out. So yeah, Ulka Sasaki, N1-Victory winner. Who do you think is going to win the tournament? Have you watched this before? Are you going to check it out? Let me know down in the comments. I'll try and reply to every single one of them. Thank you all ever so much for your support, and have a nice day.